work out with the cars and that we take this one and this is the and I will go to
Good evening.
There we go. I said something must be wrong because I don't see anybody here.
It
Evening.
only had the link for Thursday for Think Tank. That's the only one
Oh,
that's showing up that you could click on. Under
this
the
should be our
main
link.
one, it was blank.
So I'm glad because I was sitting there like, okay, where everybody at? This ain't right. So I went and checked. I was like, oh, well, I guess the link needs to be in there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm glad that you guys are here. Let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and oh, there's Max. Morgan and Natasha, are you guys minding if I make you my co-host just to let people in, please?
No problem.
Thank you. And I waited for you guys, so that's all good. We're gonna get this ball rolling because this is the culminating night. So I'm definitely excited about this. So I don't mind. I don't think we're gonna go over too long, but we're gonna make sure you guys get exactly what you need tonight. So first of all, do you see the slide that says session 5?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started then. Hopefully, you got your notebooks. We're going to jump right in. Let me just first of all make sure my screen is good over here. Move this here, and you guys are going to add people who need to come in. So let's go ahead and I just don't know how to drop this piece down without losing you. Let me see. You know what? I wonder if I should stop and then share it. Well, hide meeting. Oh, you guys still see it? I just said hide.
We're still good. I
Yay.
think.
Okay. Great. It dropped it down, but that worked out perfectly. So, welcome to session 5. This is our last session on our Fundable Readiness series. And this has been such a joy for me personally, just because walking you guys down this journey of getting you funding ready is so critical. It's like the first step to really just laying the groundwork that you guys need going forward. So, as we move into this next phase of closing it out, it's all about just making sure that you're ready for the impact and the sustainability that your programs are going to need. So that's what we're really going to talk about today. Let's jump. It says how to track outcomes, communicate the impact, and secure the long-term funding. That's what this is really all about. So this is our outcome for today. We are going to spend some quality time just making sure you understand what it takes, what does impact really mean? What are the funders looking for when we're talking about the outcome data? Looking specifically of how you track it. We'll talk about some of that, as well as those measures for transformation. Because all that stuff, sounds good when you're putting something together, but if you're not getting the transformation that you need, you just did an activity. So my goal is that we can talk about what that looks like to actually measure what transformation looks like and how you go about doing that. And then how do we communicate those results so that you can ultimately have a program that is sustainable. And that's where we're trying to go. So just to recap where we've come from these last 4 weeks, this now being our 5th week, we spent some time talking about what's broken. So understanding what parts of wasn't really working for you, and then actually where that lived in the house. That was session 2. So we actually looked at, I keep this in front of you guys so you can see, and just as a reminder, that's where everything in transitional housing lives. So once you understand how places where you've identified where it's broken, where it lies, correcting it, then you know where you can continually build. So we spent time doing that. And then we talked about that funding binder, making sure the binder had everything that we needed, as well as what you needed to package for your partners for your program. That was last week. This week is all about impact and sustainability. So let's move into that. That's actually the 3rd floor. That's where our sustainability lives. And I like to refer to it as the roof. So, in the roof or the roof, however y'all say it in your part of the country, we talk about this literally determines what success you've created. It speaks to your success, that long-term success that you want to create for the people in your programming. And here you must be able to not only show it, but you need to demonstrate that proof in a way where they understand it. They know what they're looking for, but the goal is that you can demonstrate that result that you're creating and the outcomes, and then keep partners. You don't want to have a partnership that dies. And as we talk through this, I'll share one of my experiences of where my program, one of mine died, right? So if I don't talk about that, remind me, okay? Because I want you to understand those dynamics, but making sure you retain partners. You want to keep partnerships growing, right? So you also want to be able to show that you're fundable and that what you're creating and operating can be sustained over time. This is what determines whether the program is actually going to survive or not, whether it's going to grow to the next level, and whether you can ultimately become the model for your city. And I've seen it happen. So now that we understand that's what this is, why does this even matter so much? So let's talk about that. As we look at what funders want, as I said before, and I'll keep saying, they don't care. I mean, they care about the stories, but they really don't want the stories. They want the evidence. It sounds good as you're talking, but what proof do you have? So they're wanting that proof that shows that your program works. So once you're able to show them that, they want to know if it's working. Does it work for other people? Are you actually creating the transformation that you're claiming for the participants? And then are you actually making efforts to, let's say reduce recidivism, if that's one of the areas that we talk about around this space. Now, many of you, I use the word recidivism in several ways, not just around people who are or who've come from incarceration, but even returning to homelessness, returning to a place where they came from. That's recidivism in a nutshell. And are you able to help individuals stabilize? That's what they want to see. So let's define what exactly impact truly is. Because as you think about impact, it's not just simply an activity sheet that you put together and said, oh, well, this is what they're going to do. And it's not a monthly schedule, that talks about those specific activities that you're planning for them to do. It's truly the change that you are having them go down. Their life is experiencing those changes. And that's truly what you need to get in a position of being able to measure, being able to create and being able to measure. That is their growth. So when you're able to show that you are stabilizing individuals, you're helping them get to a state of independence where they're not dependent on you or anyone else but themselves for what it is that they're wanting to sustain. And that transformation. They care about those things. So they want to see, they're invested in the success of their residents. If they are not their clients, if they are agencies working with you, or whether it's somebody giving you money, they're not just giving money randomly to people. They want to make sure that they're investing in the right people. So as you're thinking about that, you want to make sure that you know what impact really is. But you also need to know what impact is not. And what it's not, as I said, the activities that you create. When you create these activities, and don't get me wrong, activities are wonderful. You won't be able to do this without creating those things. You will have to have classes, you will have to have workshops and things that you've designed for them. But that is not the impact. The impact is what were you able to do with them in that particular workshop or in that class that you created? What result were you able to create? Were you able to help somebody save $1,000 in a 3-month period because of something you taught them in class? Were you able to increase their financial literacy where they fully understand how to create a budget, and maybe maybe a certain percentage of people were able to get those things? those are the type of things you're creating. And I hope you see the difference between an activity and the impact of that activity, because that is what you want to learn how to measure. That is how you want to learn how to create, not just simply busyness. Because I've seen programs of people who put these things together, and it's just keeping people busy. And we're not here doing that. We want a transformation. So if that's the goal, then we need our activities to reflect that. So as you think about that, you need to think about what exactly you should be measuring. So here are six core outcomes that you want to incorporate in your current programming as you create it. Now, some of them, I say these six, some of you might not have thought of all of them being a part of what you need to create, but it needs to touch on some level or be similar to it. And these are the ones that I think of that every transitional housing program should contain. And we're going to go through each one of these, but I want you to understand that with these here, when you're able to measure these, I promise you, you're going to stand out in your city and you're going to be the person that they're going to go to because those are the things they're looking for as well. So, as we talk through this, let's go ahead and look at the first one, which is housing stability. Now, to me, this here is your number one indicator that all funders are going to be looking for. So making sure you know how to measure this, making sure you know how to create this result and an outcome, that's what you want to do. So how long are participants participating in your housing? Now, when we talk about like some people have programs that let's say it's a 2-year program, right? And it's not necessarily when I talk about how long they're housed, it's not necessarily that you've done it in a certain amount of time or less. Because you can have people who will leave your program that didn't do anything. And they had to leave the program because of something else. So it's more than just how long they've been in the program, but how successful were they when they left? Like, what was it that you were able to accomplish with them? That's the kicker. And in understanding that, whatever success you were able to create for them, that's what they're really looking at. So, for instance, if you got a 2-year program and in 20 months someone left your program, what did you accomplish with that person in that 20-month period? Versus somebody in a 2-year program that leaves after 2 months. So that person might not have had results. So you need to be thinking when I say length housed, it's more around what did you accomplish with them while they were housed with you based on the length of your program. And then also, you want to be able to identify specifically what they completed and how they exited. And I always love having some form of way that you are checking on them afterwards. I have seen so many agencies create programs for individuals where after they're gone, they're gone. And that's sad because 3 months later, somebody can end up right back where they left off. So being able to track them after they've left your program, figuring out how that they can do that, which got some amazing strategies for that, just to make sure you're keeping track of individuals as they are leaving your program as well. So housing stability is important in addition to income and employment. So they want, being able to demonstrate that you are moving them and giving them an understanding economically on how they can be good stewards going forward and getting back into the workforce, making sure they have the necessary skills that they need to be able to do that. Being able to how long did it take them to actually get into a job and how long were they staying in a job? All those things are outcomes that you want to be able to track for the people in your program as well as when they leave. And what specific skills are you training them in? And how are you advancing them to be independent workers? And then we all understand that there are caps on, especially individuals coming out of incarceration. There's only so much money it appears that they're able to make. So making sure that you find additional opportunities that they can earn more income, more skills is critical. And I think this might be a good space to add as you guys are looking at that piece. I'm looking, hoping that many of you will want to partner with me because that's what I specialize in is creating sustainable skills for individuals. So as you're thinking about that and looking for ways in which you can build that into your programming, consider working with me as we build that out as well, because there's opportunities for that. And just so you're aware, I am building out, I guess you want to call it maybe incentives because you are students of mine and I'm mentoring you, I will be doing something special for your residents as you are building your programs out to be able to work with me. And I think that that will be very successful where we can make it easier. It'll be an easier lift for you because you don't have to do the extra work. It's already something being built as we speak for the residents. And then you can still track them as well because I'll have those data points that you can use as well. So as you move through that one, the next one, I believe, um, as you talk about sobriety, and I can just say this is an important milestone as well, because when you're talking about people in recovery, you might or might not have this built into yours. I would encourage you to do it because if you can think about individuals who either are in recovery or want to or have never been exposed to this before, this is the first thing that most people go to when life happens. They find a way to check out, and people check out using drugs on some level or alcohol. So making sure you have ways in which you can measure the sobriety and recovery of your residents so that if there are some that are not, ensure ways that we can make sure they don't indulge and they don't find ways to do that. And if they are in recovery, how long are they in recovery and what type of programs are you creating to be able to ensure they don't relapse? And those are the type of things you're wanting to be able to document and measure as well. Now, the next one is the life skills development, which this here is, I would say, being able to create ways to help them in these skills is critical because most people who end up going back to where they came from is because they never mastered these areas. And if you understand that, then this should be critical in what you're building. So being able to find a way to measure whether or not they're understanding what you're creating around budgeting, around responsibility, all of these things are critical to their success. So having life skills is what will create the independence that they need to be sustainable over time. So this is why this is so critical is making sure that you can find ways to develop and track in these areas as well. And then the next one is related to recidivism and compliance. Now, this one, and most funders, when they hear this and they hear that you have low recidivism, then that's immediately something they want to look at. And being able to find a way to ensure that individuals who are coming out of incarceration, if you have a program like that, how are you doing that? How are you partnering with their PO to ensure that these are not new issues coming up with them? You really get them on track with just staying on point. And I will say this is where your biggest support will come from when you work with the POs, because that's why they want them to be successful. Several of them, when they come to you, they have very strict guidelines already in place. So just being able to support the PO in this process and finding ways to track that is going to be critical because your funders are going to want to see that as well. So they would deem this as a credible indicator when you are able to help them in this area. And then, of course, you've got personal transformation. And this here will truly show how the participant in your program has become. The goal is that they become someone different than who they were coming into your program. So being able to create the confidence that they need to be able to survive in life and transform, the accountability, really working with them, holding them accountable to what it is that they say that they want. And I want to say that, I want to stress that even further. I know everyone's heart in here is that everybody wants a transformation and they create the space for them to get it. But understand this is their journey. You are there as a facilitator of that journey. You're there to help them when they're ready for it. You can't force what you believe to be so for them. They have to realize it. So helping them get to a place where they do realize this is what they want for themselves, and then you walk them down that path, that is tremendous. That is what you really want to do. Perfect example I have, we had a guy who worked with us at the shelter, and to this day, I mean, I use him as an example, even though he's had his ups and downs in his own journey. But it was only until he made the decision that he was ready to give up drugs completely in his life that he was able to start turning his life around. And he still hits the road on several different spots. I've seen him, I still talk to him on occasion. And when I do see him and he talks to me, he lets me know he's still on track. He'll let me know when things have fallen off, but he lets me know he's still on track. And that was what, 4 years ago, 3 years ago? Since that experience, and he's still on track for his own personal transformation. So he had to make up that decision for himself that he wanted it. You're just there to support it and provide the resources that they need for that. So finding ways to track these things for them will help as well. So now let's talk about the fun stuff. And that's how you track these type of results. Because I can tell you this journey can be extremely complicated. And I don't want you to feel it doesn't have to be some big complex software thing that you use. It doesn't have to be that. I just want whatever it is that you create, that you're consistent in what you do. And if you consistently track the outcomes, you're going to get the results that you want, and you're going to be able to create a rhythm that funders are going to look for. And that's what I want you more focused on than creating some complex structure or purchasing some software program that's going to generate all these outcomes for you. A lot of these things can be done on your own. Like you literally just thinking about what tools you will use to get here and then putting it in place. And then setting it to schedule. These are the things that we're going to do every month. These are the things we're going to do on a weekly basis. Like you create that because you want to be able to assess where they are when they come in. And that's the first way in which you will track. So whatever they share with you up front, having a really strong intake process for understanding where they are when they come to you, and then how do you evaluate that over time? And how are you going about checking in with them regularly so that you can make those notes related to their progress? And especially when you do choose or when they do graduate, how are you going about that? So, you can do a lot of online systems with Google. You can create surveys. Google's your best friend, by the way. Everything you could practically create, it can be created in Google. And just finding a way to track that. And once you get that process in place, the data will eventually add up. Like at first, it's going to seem like, oh, it's going to seem like you need more. Nope. You just need to be consistent. So don't worry about more. Just worry about tracking consistently what it is that you want. And the best way to tell sometimes what those things are as you are working with partners, they'll let you know. Like I love MOUs with people because they're going to tell you exactly what you need to provide them. And they're going to tell you exactly what they're looking for outcomes. So they'll let you know what it is that you're looking for. And sometimes they'll even let you like they'll give you examples. Hey, look, I'm new to that. So to explain that to me, they'll do that for you because they want you to be successful. So I would say don't let this worry you so much. Just know it's something that you need to get into the habit of creating for yourself and then building it out. And from here, so as we even look at like for instance, your monthly tracking system, the way in which you are going to track these areas. Every single month, you're going to track these things. And it's based off of those things we said earlier. So putting a system in place with how you're going to do that. The funders are going to love this. So, and they'll even let you know, well, give me this or give me that. They'll let you know what they would perfectly want as a snapshot for what it is that they want every month if you are working with an agency. So your goal is to be able to collect this well, and then once you collect it, you just simply then need to know how you're going to report it. And that's why that relationship with your agency, if you have one through an MOU, is going to help you determine what it is that they want from you. So the goal is to just clearly get a monthly rhythm and then start doing that and then track these things. So as we look at some of the reporting impact, because when you can get these things to them, because they want to have a good report that includes all of these things. And I will just tell you, those success rates, like they care about the success rates of how successful you are. But I want to say, don't let, how do I want to say this right? Don't let the success, because it's not so much about the success, even though, yes, success is wonderful, but it's all in how the success moves. Don't let it stress you out that it has to always go like this. Because I don't know anything that you can do that has a result that takes you straight, like at an angle straight up. If anyone else in the room has ever like tried to lose weight, at least this is my rhythm. When I'm trying to lose weight, I don't just go straight down. It don't go from like a certain amount and just go straight down. Mine does this. It goes down a little, then go back up again. Go down a little, then go back up again. But then go down a little, then go back up again. That's what I think of when I think of reports that you're creating for your funders and for the agencies that you work for. They don't expect to see success rates that show like this skyrocketing numbers. They just want to see numbers consistently showing improvement over time. So it's going to do that up and down. It's going to do that. And that's okay. That's a natural flow. I just need you getting into a habit of creating it and showing it and getting into the habit of it because it's going to mean something to you later. I'm setting the stage for you now with how to move so that when it's time to then continue growing in your ascension as a leader, you already are going through the habits of what we expect already, which we'll talk about that a little later. But I want to make sure you're doing that. And then that before and after. When you can get a before and after, so I'm just going to tell you, if you don't have a way in which you're collecting even visual data, and let me say the best way I can, because I'm telling you 100%, I do not want us exploiting the fact that how people come to you, because it can be skewed like that. I've seen agencies that, and not so much programs, but more agencies that will show that picture of that individual that looks like they're worse. Like, sometimes when, like, you trying to look cute for pictures or whatever, you don't want your worst. Like, that's like, but that's what I see people doing. So I'm not saying, so we have to find a tasteful, graceful way to show people's before and afters. Okay. So I tell you that because I just want you to be sensitive as you're building out the before and afters and the stories that you tell of people's success. Still be respectful of their space and respectful of how they're coming to you because you don't know how you're going to get somebody. Another example I'll share, and that's why I said I can only tell it. I tell it better than I could show it physically. We had a guy, and I think you may have heard me tell this one before, but because it's always clear my day, and I did, and I just talked to him today too. He just called me, but he was in our shelter, and he, at his worst, was beating a metal pole. I have a video of him literally kung fu fighting a metal pole so hard. And it was terrifying for us because we didn't know how to handle him at first, and then we were new in the space, but everyone was afraid of him. And to talk to him today, his heart is so sweet. Like I love his sweet heart so much because he didn't have his medication. So on his worst of days, If you saw him on his worst of days, he was that person. He looked every part of it. His hair every part of him looked like you would imagine a person who might not be on their meds being like a crazy person beating a pole. Now, we have a video of him. No one will ever see that video, ever. Why? Because that was him at his worst. And I will say, if we ever share it, it will be in the privacy of him and me. We're that close where I could show. And I talk about when he just called me today, let me know he was on his meds still. He just got his shot and telling me about his success, how he's maintaining his housing. And that's how he keeps up with me. That was 4 years ago. He still calls me on my personal phone. And see, those are the relationships we build. So I'd spent time talking about that because you're going to be creating a story and stories that you'll share sometimes publicly, sometimes privately, just like this. And we still want to be respectful as we're creating that and showing what we were able to do for people. Because it's not to make someone look bad, it's to let them see, though, how we were able to transform people's lives to what they were comfortable with. So you need to get into the habit of creating reporting that's going to show the impact, both the opportunities and the challenges. I want them to see it all. So as you create that, good and bad, just create it. The story will tell itself because I'll just say this too. As you create these stories, you're going to also find opportunities to improve upon what it is that you're creating because it's going to let you know where your gaps are. It's going to let you know where you might have missed something. It'll let you know, oh, well, I missed that. Well, let's now start capturing that. So use this as a way to be better and tell your story of what you're able to do for people. Even if it's not all perfect, it's all about progressing and growing a program that you are proud of once we get you to be the leader that you're becoming. All right. So, as we talk through that and we look at how you go about communicating this, you really only need to answer these three questions. You need to really be able to answer, who did you serve? What changed? And then why does it matter long term? So, whenever you're able to answer those three questions as simply as you can and communicate that impact, then people will begin to trust you. And that's what we're working to, is for people to be able to trust you. So let's look at some examples of what a strong fundable statement would look like. Being able to have a program that creates 82% of residents who are secured in income within 90 days would be amazing. Also, to be able to have 7 of 10 people in your program who graduated and they've maintained stable housing, or being able to create a program that has life scores that are increased by 42% from where they started, or being able to drop recidivism by 31%. These are numbers that will make you fundable. So whenever you can create statements like that in what you're creating, then people will fund you. People will want to participate in your programming. So that's why it's so critical to be able to create these results for your program, because when it's time and you'll be able to share it. But I will say this, numbers aren't everything and they're not enough. The numbers are wonderful, but what really gets it are those stories. That is what amplifies your impact. So as you look at the stories that you will tell, and you don't need a lot, you just need to be able to make it relatable for that funder to hear the human side of what it is that you're creating. Because every story should show the starting point. It should show then the transformation and the structure that supported it, and then what the outcome is. So when you can have stories that do that, those are the things that anchor the data that you just showed. So once you get to a point where you have data, which is wonderful, get those stories because those stories are everything. So now let's talk about what sustainability is. So we talked about sustainability and we've been talking about it this whole time. I need you to understand it's not just funding. When we talk about sustainability, it's all about the consistency that you're creating. So once you have that, the sustainability means that your program can run long term, regardless of whether you get a new staff, you get people who churn out of your organization, you might get different partners working with you. It might even the economy might change. And we know that happens quite frequently. You're going to see those things happen. But when your program can stand the test of that, you've got a sustainable program. And that's where I need all of you focused on is getting to a point where you have a program that can sustain the test of time. And here are the five pillars that we look at when we talk about having a sustainable program. Because it comes from, first of all, having structure. Because without structure, the structure is everything. Knowing exactly what you're doing. That's why it's sort of shocking to me when I hear people in this space, and I don't even put them in my space. I'm just gonna be real. Like people who talk all that other stuff, I don't even put them over here. This is us over here. This is everybody else who's doing independent living, group homes, um, recovery homes, shared how all they're over here. This is us. We're here. And without a program, you're not transitional housing. You're everything else. And I'm sorry people get mad at me when I say that. It's okay. I know what I know, and that is having a solid program that you follow that's structured is the beginning of getting the outcomes that you want to get. Because once you get those documented outcomes, those people are going to start wanting to be a part of what you have. Now you're going to have strong partnerships with agencies and they're going to rely on you and you can rely on them because it's solid. And being able to have a strategy for how you're going to build this. And then ultimately, which is the best part to me, being a leader who is consistent in what it is that you do. When you are solid in these areas, now you have a program that's unshakable. You have a program that nobody can touch, regardless of what happens, because it is not on accident that you have sustainability. Everything we do is built, and I'm teaching you how to build it layer by layer. So as we talk about this, and you understand that sustainability is built off of these five pieces. And the way I look at it, when you can have the outcomes, partners who stay, not partners who leave you. And this might be a good part to talk about my issue I had with a partner, but it's good to talk about. I think you guys need to learn from my mistakes. But when you can have partners that stay with you and they see your outcomes and you are compliant in everything that you've structured, and your staff is fully aware of everything that you're building, you've trained them well, and you can show these results. When you've got these five things, this is sustainability. So let's talk about my experience. And I have a couple, but you know what? I consider them experiences. And I can look at, and I can still see, I'm still very sustainable now. So I never want you guys ever thinking that what I've built is gone because it's not. It's evolved. Number one, I believe my experiences were here so I could teach you because now that I know, I will never let you guys go through what I went through. But once you put yourself in a position. That's why I tell you guys all the time, when you start involving yourself in the COC and other agencies and understanding how those structures work, not all of them are like that, but you understand it's very competitive out there. Once you understand how competitive it is out there, that's real, then not only so they, but people look out for what their interests are at the end of the day. And they want to make sure that they can, what was that word? I'm trying to think of it like self-preservation. Self-preservation is real. So, because I know that as a fact, and when there were things happening, it caused some of my relationships to shift. Perfect example, I had an amazing partner, number one. They were amazing that I worked with. And that's how I actually started in this space, working with them. And their leader was one of my biggest supporters. And when he left and went someplace else, their new leader came in play. And because I didn't have a relationship with him, I had a relationship with the other guy. As he started looking at what I was building and saw that we were doing the same thing, you already know what happened. Competition. And I was growing fast. We had evolved to multiple properties that we managed, had under house, in addition to picking up two, three contracts with the city. And we were entertaining a contract he was interested in. And then next thing you know, the funding for our guys, and we literally, guys would leave the the training center where they were at and the transition center and come into our properties. And they were like they gave them funding for first and last, like they were the automatic rent that they got. All of a sudden they had a problem with our lease or our contracts. And then it was something else. And then next thing you know, they no longer wanted to work with our company because they said that we weren't giving them the right documentation that they needed, and they needed another provider to do it. Now, I've got examples like this, at least two or three of them. But once you understand when you're in this space growing, and my job is to protect you and help position you so there's no question about what you have, and you have multiple partners doing multiple things. That way, you're not sitting waiting for that. Because imagine how that impacted our business. That was our sole contract, MOU, for guys coming out of the transition center into our housing. And once that was done, I could get no more funding and I had to seek additional funding, which we ended up getting a contract with the state, but it was more strict. But long story short, you understand how the power of partnership can make or break you. So my job is to help teach you how to retain partners and move that forward. Now, hindsight 2020, that relationship probably was not going to be salvaged because I lost the leader who worked with me. Even their workers were shocked. They were the ones who loved working with us, but they couldn't because the boss said they couldn't. So they didn't. So please keep those things in mind as you build and you want to build sustainability. Even though that hurt me, it didn't chop me out. So remember the statement we said earlier about partners changing? They're gonna change. Staff gonna change. All those things are gonna change. But when it does, it shouldn't matter because you are set on a track to get the things that you need because you've got everything else. So that's where I need you all working is building the sustainability that your programs are going to need so that you can stand the test of time regardless of what happens. All right. So let's jump right into your next binder. You guys are like loving these binders, I hope. So this is your impact binder. Now, and I honestly like keeping them all separate. You are welcome to put them all together for your own purposes if you wanted to, but you want to get to a point. Yes, I want you to have a hard copy one because you never know who you're going to run into. But boy, when you can create something physical or digital rather that can tell your story for you, and then you can give them like real data later. That's what you want. That's why those stories are so critical because when you've got your outcome data, you've got the reports, you've got stories, you've got pictures of graduations, like Get into the habit of that. I know many of you, I think Morgan, you work for a nonprofit. You know how they have those annual reports and they talk about all those great things that they do. If you've never seen those before, go look and see what they do every year because this is what they do. And I want you replicating what they do. Why? Because you're literally going to fit perfectly into their world because of what you can create as documentation that talks about the impact that you're making in the community, that you can easily slide in and be a part of their world too, to where when they're talking about their report, guess who they're going to include? You, your programming, the success, pictures of the outcomes created because you partnered with them. Those are the type of relationships I want you creating. So these are the things that you're going to be creating because this is your proof of what it is that you have. So you're going to include all of these elements that you have here that are listed, including your partner letters. Now I'm going to tell you, please get those partner letters quick, 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 quick. Because as I think about what I didn't get a chance to do as things started shifting, I didn't get partner letters. I have a couple still because we had done um, we had applied for some RFPs where I do have support letters still to this day of them supporting us that I still will use. But you want to get it while the relationship's good and when you can, because when they can show, like they will clearly support you. And as you are applying for grants and you're getting things, that's stuff you already have, and keep that fresh. But you're going to want to create these things for your binder and keep it digital so that when you start applying for grants, you got documentation that supports what it is that you're growing. All right. So now we talked about that. Let's talk about one more thing, and that is funders love consistency. I think I've said that 3 times today in this presentation. And the reason why I want that drilled in your head is they care more about consistency than they do perfection. So remember me talking about how you're changing and documenting things and you're actually showing your ups and downs. You're just showing your results and your outcomes. They'll love that more than you being perfect. And when you could show that to them and you could show them that I'm consistently tracking these things, because what does that tell them at the end of the day? It tells them that not only are you a person, a leader who knows how to track results, but you're somebody they can trust long term. You're somebody that they can partner with long term, and you can create things that they can use long term. Because being the leader they need you to be, I'm just going to tell you, some leaders are not so, like some of these agencies, sometimes they look good on paper, but they're a hot mess on the inside. So when you can show that you can do this, they're going to say, "Oh, I can work with Natasha. Look how great her stuff is. Oh my gosh, we don't have this over here. We have a tough time with this. Let's let her work with us here, and now we'll create an MOU with her." They want to see that consistency because you're going to make their life easier when it comes to who they need to report to. That you got to follow that money where they are. They're following that money, and they don't want to lose any of their funding. Because clearly you see how they scramble when funding is going or the threat of it going. They're scrambling now. So, because you are a person that knows how to show that consistency to them, you're somebody that they're going to want to work with. So, with that being said, these are your next steps. Now, I know we've gone over a lot in these 5 weeks, but you will need to build your tracking sheet. What are the things you're actually tracking and making sure that you can define what those outcomes are. You also need to be able to, if you haven't started anything like creating some type of monthly anything at this point. Now you're brand spanking new. You have nobody. Just get into the habit of doing something every month. I need you practicing because that is a habit we're building up so that you can be successful at this long term. And then any stories you can get, 2 to 3 stories, even if It's around the creation of this that you're building. We can call it your creation story. Whatever you want to do, we're creating stories, 2 to 3, getting us in the habit of documenting the impact that we will make when this fully launches. And this is how you are going to build one, a full system of what it is that you're building. This is how you're going to do it. And I'm going to say your impact report, and so how do I say? I really want to give you guys everything. I can't give you everything because clearly I know many of you will are my VIPs in training right now. You really are. All of you aren't VIP now, but you are VIPs in training. So a lot of the things I've shared with you here, we do at the VIP level. And so that's why I'm going to give you guys as much as I can give you in this space for what it is where you're at. But I believe 100% those of you who are here with me now will be a part of my VIP. We just need to figure out how to make that a reality. But I 100% see that. And I need, because there are documents that you guys can get in the VIP, but you will get access to some documents in the I just lost my train of thought. The app. Once the app launches, you'll have some. I just don't know if it'll be in time. And by the way, there's no time on this per se. Like, I'm not saying it's due next week. Just like everything else you guys are creating, I want you to quickly get it ready because of where I'm taking you. But still, give yourself grace. You'll eventually get it all in place where it all will make sense. All right. So I'm going to open the floor first to questions before we talk about the next few slides. Because this is all, well, let me do this one first, then I'll open the floor to questions. Because I want to at least tell you about the journey we've been on and then open the floor to questions. Because this is where you guys have been. 5 weeks we spent talking through all of this. This culminates the end of our funding readiness series. So when you can think about when we first started and all the sessions that we've gone through, you should have all of these things roughly in place. You should have some clarity around your vision, where you are, where that's placed in the house, and then having all the pieces that you need to build this out. So this is here, and this allows for you to be able to go after the long-term funding that we're going to go after next. But before we talk about those things, I want to open the floor to any questions that we have in general related to this and anything else we've talked to date. Oh, let me look at the time. I won't spend a lot of time here because it's already 8:33, but
I have a
I'll let you know if it's something that we need to put on the table for later. But go ahead, Miss Morgan.
I have a quick one, and it's just about the stories because throughout my work day, I'm seeing where the need for the house is necessary because the people I'm working with, a lot of the barriers that they have
Mhm.
on my job, I can't fix that. I can't provide rides to places, but if they're somewhere that provides transportation. So whenever we're talking about like impact, without throwing my job out under the bus, kind of, because I mean we do some good, but it's like it's a lot that needs to be done, and I'm sure on a big level they don't. If we don't have company vehicles, it's all that good stuff.
Right.
But so is that how you build the impact story since there's no actual impact done yet? I could say where I see the need is and how we fill the gaps for said people.
So let me make sure I fully understand the question you're asking because you clearly see the gaps right now.
Yes.
And I'm assuming what you're creating. is that going to fill that gap?
Yes.
So when you talk about the stories that you are going to collect, the story, because you can, as you talk about, as you creating this, I would do a creation story just around that. And that talks about the why. Why is that piece so impactful that you want to create? Like, why is that? So that when you then start, you've got your creation story that leads into why you want to do it. You don't necessarily even have to mention any of the job at all, but just in general, why that need is, why you're doing it, and then why is it that you're doing it? Like, why you? So, why you're doing it and why are you doing it? It's like a double why it's needed and why you're doing it. That's the
Okay.
type of story when you create that, then people will understand. And I'm sure there's a reason why. Pull back that onion if there's more to pull back other than, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want you thinking of an onion and pulling it back to get to the heart of that second part of the impact. Marinate over that a little bit because that is the stuff that people will rally around when they fully understand your why. I hope that makes sense what I said without saying to you. Okay, perfect. As long
Yeah.
'cause I want
Every
you.
so often when I see little things, I tally it and I be like, see, this is why it's necessary.
Yep, yep,
Why it's
yep.
necessary. So I have a whole little scratch pad of why this would be a good thing and why it would be useful to those who already utilizing the funding anyway, kind of.
Yep.
So yeah.
But and then we'll start there, and then as we grow together, I wouldn't mind reading it as you create it, and as we get in our own little community, that's where I really want you guys bouncing off each other, because this will mean something when you guys see the next phase of where we're going. Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions before we jump into? Go ahead, Mr. Tasha.
Okay, really quick. Um, I almost got the whole binder, the financial binder put together. And I had a question about how in depth do we go on the financial piece of it?
It doesn't.
Um,
So it doesn't. So when you say how deep, it can go as deep as you want to go. How about we say it like that? I personally, because really until you get into the, like, at least have the basics down when we talk about the financials, okay? But I don't need you going all the way to the nth, like, because you just want a projection of what it looks like.
okay,
All right. But,
okay,
and I'll say this too, because you sound like you're a lot like me. I do overthink a lot of things and want to know exactly to the letter, but
yeah,
keep it simple because I would rather, in my mind, Natasha, have you have the basics of everything down than to have the deepness of the deepness and you still here on one and we trying to
yeah,
get because I
okay,
am intentional about moving you guys forward for a reason. And you're getting ready to see in just a moment.
okay.
So, very great question. Anybody else before I jump into what is next? Because those of you who've been, some of you just start being with me here. But when I first started this community, I want to say, let me first see if I can share this again. Let's see. Do you guys see my screen again? Okay. When I started this journey back in March, I had, if you were to see my, like the leadership board or the leaderboard for our group, everything was laid out. Like I had every step, like it's 9 levels. And I had 9 levels to take you guys through, and it was intense. So I took it all down. I was like, Tony, stop being so intense. However, God confirms everything that he does. That's why I love how he just reveals things to me. So where he has us going, and that's why I'm just like so excited. And there's a reason why we started here first. And that's why I said only God knows what he is doing. Because I knew I needed you guys to get funding ready. but I know where I want you going. And it's all built off of you as leaders. If you haven't noticed, even though we do transitional housing, we talk about programs, we talk about the housing, I don't ever really refer to you as transitional housing providers. That's just one title, but you're truly purpose-driven leaders. And my job as the mentor of you is to help you become who God has already called you to be. And a part of that journey starts us here, but it's now time to rise to the next level. And let me show you what that looks like. Because now that we are closing this out, so excited right now, we are about to move to the next phase of where God is taking us. Because you have learned what it takes to get ready for funding with your programs. But now it's time to get you ready as a leader that is also ready to be funded. And that's going to mean something as you grow. So the next series, and I can't promise it's going to be next week. I'm leaving town for Miami to meet with my mentor. I'll be gone for a week, and I want to make sure I give all the time I need for that. So I might give us a week break to also give you time to get that other piece done and just a little tight, because now we're getting ready to go to the elevation of you. Because right now, helping you get to a position where you can communicate with clarity and authority. Because the program is created. You got some things in place. Remember, we talked about the little pitch, doing your little pitch, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff's still new. But now it's time to elevate you as a leader and get you to communicate your programs with so much clarity and authority that when they hear you speak, they will know and will be able to back that up, as well as understanding what the expectations are. We're going to continue building on that because that's different levels too. So that's why getting you to a place where you can understand and be able to have your voice in this space, there are going to be people who are going to want to give to you. So knowing what to give them and meet their not just meet their expectations, but to exceed them and get you to a place where you are going to be able to experience some funding relationships. And you're probably still saying, but Tony, when do we get to try some of this funding out? That's where this is going to start. Now, I'm trusting God to continue to reveal how we move into that, but I'm going to start. And that's why I say I'm very careful in not giving you guys too much too soon, because I'll be throwing up on y'all all day with everything that's in my head of what I'm getting ready to do over the next 90 days. And it's going to be 90 days. I don't even think it might take that long. But trust and know the process that God is taking me through to give you what you need to be the leaders that you are. Because you are these leaders. But my job as your mentor is to help you discover who God has called you into being. So that's my job. So, and I take it very seriously. And I'm so excited for what I'm about to give you guys over the next few weeks. And so we just finished one, right? We finished. We're going to start this one probably a week later. But this is where we're going. As I think about these 4 levels of you as a leader, this is your leadership ascension path. Because we started with fundable readiness, because we focused just on your programming, but God is going to take you through the rest of this journey of leadership through me. And he's going to allow me to show you how to be the leader that you need to be with for funders who want to invest in what you're building and to be able to create those systems that will not only allow you to grow, but allow you to replicate and make the impact on the generations that you claim you want to do. And I believe every last one of you, when you told me that you wanted to create legacy, and I don't think any of you've changed that since we started this journey. So as long as that's still what you are on and building legacy, this is our leadership ascension path. This is what we will be going down through for the next few months, few weeks, and we're going to allow God to reveal it. Now, I'm telling you guys this because I'm excited, first of all, for having such powerful leaders in front of me, and I am here to serve you so that you can become who God wants to be. And you get the opportunity to get all of this at the premium level. The VIP level too, you get this, but God is allowing me to share this with you all first. You literally are helping me create this as God is giving it to me. Because I'm telling you, He's giving it to me. I'm creating it as He's giving it to me so that we can build you out to be those leaders. Nobody else is getting this privilege because once it's done, and you guys went, I think everyone's been here every day. So I want to first of all commend you for being here every day for the Fundable Readiness series we did. But these next three series are just as powerful because we're going to get you to that level of where you all desire to be. And that is operating in legacy for what you want to build for your families and for those who are going to follow you because this is going to outlive you. So there's so much I want to say, but we're going to save all that. I believe he's going to let me share it. At least I'm praying he lets me do it in this Fundable Leaders one because I don't know if I could hold it that long. I don't know if I can hold it that long. I don't think I can, but I'm doing my best because he ain't said to release it yet. So I'm staying quiet until he says release it. But what is about to come, ladies and gentlemen, is blowing my mind. So just continue to pray, pray hard for what you're creating. Pray for me as God is taking me through this journey of preparing you for where you are going. Because I already know, oh, I want to share this. Can I share this one part? Oh my God. I'm gonna wait. He hasn't said, I want to share this so badly, but I'm not. Because what he has for you, powerful. He allowed me to share with my VIP. So I've shared it with my VIP already. So unless you're on this call, you're VIP. I can't share it yet. I'm sorry. But the opportunities will open up for you, those of you who want to participate in VIP over the next few months. If you can make it happen, I'm just being as real as I can because I can see all of you being a part of it. So if you can participate in VIP, you're going to want to do that. And I'll just add, I'm going to close this out so I can see you guys' face. Let me see. Stop share. Oh, I get so excited for this. Y'all do not know. But when I want to talk about the premium. First of all, everybody got in, I think, that needed to get in. Because I didn't think hopefully there's no message about people saying I see Alicia. Well, she'll get the recording. I think she might have tried. Oh, I think she might have tried, but neither here nor there. If you got in, that means you're premium. If you couldn't get in, that means you're not. So we'll make sure that's working. But my goal is December 8th. Now, you still have time because we're only on video. They're literally behind. But you're going to get a sneak peek on Thursday of the app so you can see what it looks like. I'm so excited, but I want you coming prepared to give me feedback. I'll take it. I can handle it. I want your feedback, but I'll probably let you see parts of it so you can sort of give me your thoughts and we'll maybe listen to one of the two of the things and we'll play with it a little bit. And then after that, you'll give me some feedback that I could take back to the people developing it. And it'll probably be ready in January. So if you can pull together, maybe you find a rich uncle that'll let you do VIP, because I would really love for you all to be a part of the VIP, because that's everything. But I'll share that as God allows me to reveal it. So I think that's it. All hearts and mind clear. I took a little longer than I usually do, but this has been fun, guys. I've enjoyed this with you. So go ahead, Morgan.
Oh no, I just was getting off of mute so I could say good
Appreciate
night.
that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
It's been my pleasure. We will take off next week just to give me time to get, because I'll still be in Miami, and then we'll do the following, and we'll start the new series on the fundable leader, and we'll start some exciting things around funding. If I did not say, I could say, if I did not say, we're going to start some of that. So we're actually going to give some grants out and things like that. So I'm excited for getting, I've been ready, but I didn't want to get you guys too ahead of the game talking about that. None of this stuff was ready. Like now we can talk, okay? So let's go ahead and release for today. Thursday is going to be our interactive, and all hearts and minds are clear. All right, guys. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your time. I will see you guys later. Stay blessed. Bye. Bye, Max. See y'all later.